I believe life is about being on a wellness adventure, and since 2017, I've been on a quest of redefining how to create an unmistakably high quality life. It's involved relearning my primal instincts, reclaiming the power of unshakable belief in myself, revamping what is in my kitchen from food to water, and rediscovering the practical wisdom in regular everyday moments. I'm hungry to expose how easy it is to live a vibrant and fulfilling life that is equally good for us and the planet. Here on the Isabelle Wellman Show, we weave the practical and the mystical to evolve into the highest quality versions of ourselves in order to lead a long lasting ripple effect. Together, let's lay it all out on this wellness adventure. Welcome back to the Isabelle Wellman Show and this wellness adventure we get to go on. Today, we're diving into the topic of a lesson in confidence. This is kind of fun. The backstory of this topic came from my current and very, just as life does, Tai Chi mentor, so to say. An older gentleman at the gym who teaches me Tai Chi and the principles of the martial arts behind the Tai Chi. It has been a giant propeller in feeling more confident and giving myself the awareness of the confidence I already embrace when I move through places like the gym or through a grocery store, what have you. And we were chatting when I was working in the office at this gym I work at, and he brought that up, a lesson in confidence. I laughed to myself thinking about how great a TED Talk title that would be and how it did apply to my life and feeling that good feeling of realization of something that we've been on the precipice of. And today I want to share that lesson in confidence. I will be sharing a lot of stats, a lot of articles written by the New York Post, New York Times, Harvard, University of Texas. And this is going to be one for those who are looking how to embrace a more confident life with my own experiences and insights sprinkled along this. To start, what is confidence? Confidence is the feeling or belief that one can rely on someone or something, a firm trust. Another definition, the state of feeling certain about the truth of something. And the last definition, or understanding, a feeling of self-assurance arising from one's appreciation of one's own abilities or qualities. And this is an excerpt from the New York Times in an article all about confidence. And it breaks down self-confidence or confidence into three different parts. So there's self-efficiency, self-confidence, and self-esteem. So these are different because oftentimes our brains overlap or our own understanding of confidence is merged with these other aspects. And maybe by hearing these three different parts, we will have a little bit of a better understanding. You want to say understanding, so inside you feels good, you understand what's happening, instead of definition. We aren't deaf to what we are hearing or what we are being given as the title. And of course, we can morph confidence to our own phrase, our own belief around what it is, so that it applies to our lives. So the first bit, self-efficiency. This term, as defined by Albert Bandura, a Canadian-American psychologist, refers to your belief in your ability to accomplish specific tasks. If you believe you're capable of cooking dinner or completing a project, this is reflective of high self-efficiency. People with low self-efficiency often put less effort into a task if they don't believe they'll succeed at it, increasing the likelihood of failure. This is interesting to me because it is taking responsibility of researching. That is what this calls out to me. Anytime we feel like we are not efficient in something, we probably do not know enough. And it's as simple as searching, seeking, and finding. Whatever you seek, you will find, whether it be negative or positive in your life. And there's no good or bad, but whatever you're looking for. When I was in the 8th grade, one of my teachers told me the difference between being a young person and a wise person is your ability to find the answer yourself. And that has stuck with me. Instead of asking someone else or taking the easy road and relying on someone else, you rely on yourself, you become efficient, and you seek and you find that answer. Moving on to self-confidence. In contrast, according to Dr. Bandura, self-confidence is more of a general view of how likely you are to accomplish a goal, especially based on your past experience. When you practice playing piano, you increase your confidence in your ability to play the piano. This can also apply to how likely you believe you are to be accepted in a social group. If you've been made fun of for your underwater basket weaving hobby, you might be less confident sharing it with others next time. Self-confidence and self-efficiency are both rooted in experience, but self-confidence reflects a broader view of yourself rather than your confidence in specific tasks. Again, to myself, this screams personal, as Dr. Bandura states. This is your own ability to claim what you love, like underwater basket weaving. That would be fascinating to meet someone who has that hobby, and if that is a hobby out there. But being able to state, yeah, I love playing poker with this group throughout the week. It has nothing to do with my business life. It has nothing to do with my relationships. It's just something I love. And you allow that to be seen by others because you respect yourself, because you respect your love of that thing. And then the last one, self-esteem. The term most often confused with self-confidence is the one perhaps least similar to it. Self-esteem refers to a belief in your overall worth. Broad statements like, I'm a good person, fall into this category. Self-esteem is one of the levels of Maslow's hierarchy of needs, and improvements to self-confidence can contribute to your broader self-esteem. These concepts overlap, and psychologists disagree about where the lines between each one end and begin. You can have enough confidence to believe that you're capable of learning how to play a new game, for example, while simultaneously lacking the self-efficiency to believe that you'll be any good when you first start. Likewise, you can have zero confidence in your ability to cook while still believing you're a good person deserving of love. And that's very interesting, the self-esteem compared to the self-confidence. Yeah, self-esteem being, I am deserving of. That's what that calls out to me. And to bring this into a practical application, I want to share some various ways to embrace confidence. In my own world, I have gained confidence by saying yes to things I love to do without letting an external judgment or validation dictate that. And of course, I'm not perfect, so I've had times where I've allowed outside influence to direct me, and it always results in a fail. I invite you to reflect on your life, to times where you've allowed external sensories, people, places, things, opportunities to come in and direct you instead of you directing yourself or using your own moral compass to guide your way. And if it resulted in a success or somewhat of a failure or a letdown or a disappointment, it might be all fun in the beginning, and you may get a lot of dopamine from that in the beginning, but over time, it's going to deteriorate your soul, your spirit, that zest you have, because it's not in alignment with that heart, with your greater purpose, with your inner calling. And I think the clearer we get on that, the easier life can become. Yet we actually have to have those moments and then have this higher perspective, this bird's eye view on our life, seeing it for more than the relationship, the job, the car, the pets, the sex, the whatever, and looking at it from a larger standpoint, going, those are the details. Interesting. What details aren't necessarily meshing with what is really being asked of me or I'm asking of myself? So, here are the ways, various ways to claim and embrace your confidence. I've already noted this, but claiming who you are, your quirks, your hobbies, your pleasures. And this isn't meeting someone and instantaneously sharing your entire life with them. However, you give them this broad perspective of what you're interested in and what you do. So oftentimes we see tons of health coaches, pleasure coaches, manifestation coaches appearing in the social media streams. And I know so many of us, because I'll put myself in there, have met this tension of, what do you call yourself? How do you introduce what you do to other people who are a doctor or a firefighter or a nurse or someone who has maybe a quote unquote real 9 to 5 job, which there's just different practices and studies and enjoyment. And a friend who has been on this podcast, I'll link his conversation below, Christian Van Camp. What pops into my mind is how he states a longer sentence where you open many doors. So, I'm a health and performance coach. I structure my work around holism. I love sustainability. I enjoy going out for adventures such as hikes and skiing and snowboarding with my friends on the weekend. I love hiking around the mountains. I love any physical activity I get my hands on, but I also really love cooking, nourishing meals at home, and tending to my body and challenging myself. And so you give someone a really big entryway into relating with you, because whenever we meet someone new, that's the biggest thing. We just want to relate. We want to find something to cling on to and go, I also agree with that. Now I can be in this conversation, I can engage. So the more we share in a broad sense, then you can pick up on what is common, mutual, and then you can dive into the nitty gritty. And that's going to build trust. The more trust you build with yourself, with someone else, the easier the conversation will flow, the easier trust is going to be established, and that rapport is going to strengthen over time if it is the right person, place, thing. So another piece of this I want to note is, you thinking something is weird makes you the one weird for thinking that is weird, because you're the one putting that perspective on that situation. And that is a direct indicator of you feeling uncomfortable about something, which we're going to dive into next. So, what can you not accept about what is holding you back? Food for thought. And jumping into discomfort. Trying things that make you uncomfortable is going to make you more comfortable, more successful, and able to overcome any challenge, or better at navigating challenge in the future. And there are a few ways to dive into discomfort. I have had my time and place with discomfort, absolutely. When I left the coffee shop ski industry in Colorado, I was in person all the time, and I never ever was online working with people. I might host a yoga class here and there, but when COVID hit, we all extracted ourselves from in-person things, and we all went on screens and online. I moved to Alaska. All of these things happened, and it was really hard for me to get back out into the world because I felt afraid of, am I doing the right thing? Am I going to be judged? And I was in this whole mode of self-esteem, lacking in confidence, and really claiming who I was because I was on a new adventure of entrepreneurship and beginning my own thing and really doing what I wanted to create with my own life. And so getting out of your routine is necessary to establish a bridge through discomfort. To build yourself a bridge through discomfort is going to be the easiest way to get through it. Just as the bison does not run away from the storm, it just goes through because it's going to be shorter, it's going to not last as long, and they're going to get to the other side where they get to eat all the grass, all the hay, all the things they want to munch on. So getting out of your routine can really shake it up and make your senses more palpable. As we go through the same mundane tasks every day, we wake up, we drink the coffee, we brush our teeth, we take a shit, we go to work, we spend our time here, we talk to these people, we do these tasks, we come home, we kiss the people, we hug the people, we pet the dog, we play with the dog, on and on and on. It's the same thing. We take the same route, we take the same grocery store, we don't expand our horizon. Our senses get nulled. Just think about a time when you've been on your way to work in the same way you've always gone to work, and you don't even remember the car ride because you've tuned yourself out. You are so adapted to that route, you don't even need to pay attention anymore. And that is somewhat scary because we're not aware, we're not currently present in the moment. Something I personally love to do when I might feel scattered in my head to move on from that first of getting out of a routine, shaking up your life. The next piece that can help you mentally declutter is brain dumping. There is a website called 750words.com or 750.com. I forget which one it is, but you create an account and there's a little membership fee for it now because they're just trying to maintain the site, and it's just two people doing it, and it's a really cheap fee. It's like $6 a month, or you can pay for a year and it's $50. But the goal is to write 750 words or 3 pages, and it's literally just a brain dump. There's no anything around it. You just write. And I began doing this and it helps so much. Get your ideas out, get your wants out, your desires, random things that you did not think were eluding you in your mind. And it's pretty fascinating and fun. It's very great for your health and mental clarity because you can never turn your brain off, yet you can declutter it. And just like the monkey mind in yoga, that's what they call it. When it's too jammed up, then all the monkeys are running around. You just have to tame them, give them a banana, give them something to do, put it all out there, and it will be a lot easier to move onwards. And especially when it comes around discomfort and something you're not feeling great about. You can lay it all out, be honest with yourself, and it's a safe place for you to just express. And the last piece is identifying the discomfort, or there's 2 pieces. So they come hand in hand. There's identifying the discomfort and reflecting on the discomfort. So identifying it, this is a quote from No. This is a quote from Seth Godin. So discomfort brings engagement and change. Discomfort means you're doing something that others were unlikely to do because they're hiding out in the comfort zone. When you're uncomfortable, actions lead to success. The organization rewards you and brings you back for more. Seth Godin in his book, Linchpin, Are You Indispensable? So when we can identify what it is causing us that discomfort, maybe even reflecting on past times and similar situations, we are going inward to ourselves to excavate the situation, to pull it apart, to look at it in different perspectives and ideas. And when we can put it to, an older situation that we may have been in, it gives us a greater chance to not be emotionally attached. Because say we are in flight and fight and flight mode in our bodies. And our nervous system is haywire. It's jacked up in a not great way, like 5 espressos in an hour. We're not doing great. The toilet's not doing great. We need help. We are not going to be able to chill because our emotions, our hormones are so ramped up, and we're going to be too consumed by that thing. And so there might be a period in between that event and that discomfort and taking a step back out of it, going into nature, doing a yoga flow, breathing, shaking it out, dancing to a handful of songs, calling a buddy, whatever you need to do to get back into your center, yourself, so that you can answer this question from your own heart, from your own body. That's going to help you move forward. And it's going to help you have that success, because then you can say, oh, what's the actual fail that will happen? Is death an option? Probably not. Will someone be harmed? Is something else bad going to happen to someone outside of me? Probably not. And if not, then we can slowly work our way back up the ladder of rationality and go, realistically, this is probably the worst case scenario, and this is probably the best case scenario. And then believing in the latter, and whatever happens, happens. The biggest thing I've done to help with this discomfort is ditching the idea of the outcome. Let go of the outcome. Let go of what you think could, would, should happen, because that's going to paralyze you from any action. And then reflection. So I've been talking about this in comparison with identifying, but Steve Siebold, whose book, How Rich People Think, accumulation of 30 years of interviews, says the bigger they are, the more they've typically failed, referring to rich people, and how getting to great success takes a lot of trial and error. And there's not one successful person I have dove into research-wise to learn more about them, how they tick, what they have experienced in their own life, what stages they've been through, who has not had a giant slap in the face by what did not work. And instead of quitting, that was the only thing they decided not to do. I will not quit. Because when you do not quit, I spoke about this in the last podcast on episode 110, all about acting, the last step of discomfort, taking that action. They did not quit. So they did not fall into the allure of inaction, the lack of action. Instead, they just dove right in to taking an action, continuing to take an action, to trusting, to finding a new route, to navigating it without ditching their plan. They believed in themselves, confident. Moving on. So we've been over claiming who you are, trying new things that make you uncomfortable on purpose so that you can build that perseverance muscle, and starting an exercise regime. Holy cow, folks, here are some stats. So 2 in 5, 39% of people stated that they avoid exercising or going to the gym because they feel self-conscious about the way they look. And the next little stat I want to present to combat this one is those who worked out 2 to 4 times above the moderate physical activity recommendations, anywhere from 300 to 600 minutes each week, saw the most benefit, and participants had a 26 to 31% lower all-cause mortality rate, while 28 to 38 had lower cardiovascular mortality. So the very last stat I want to present is new research shows people who set aside time to exercise are actually happier than those who don't. Not only are they happier, 75% versus 25%, but they also report being more successful, 74% versus 26%, as revealed by the survey of 2,000 Americans who exercise at least once a week. That is from the New York Post. So we go from the stat of 2 in 5 people avoiding exercising at the gym because insecurity, self-consciousness. And then we go to how studies show directly people who exercise are more confident. They are happier. They feel better. They succeed more. Exercise is a beautiful and free thing. If you cannot afford a gym membership, there's the outdoors. There are rocks in the yard. There are outdoor gyms in more of the big cities, more so overseas, but this is more available to us in the States these days. I live here in Reno, and a park I go to often with the dogs just built an outdoor exercise area, and I see kids there all the time now. It's really fantastic. So it's not hard to get there, but we may have to go through the discomfort of beginning an exercise routine, changing our behavior, saying yes to a lifestyle choice. Perhaps we have to go 100% in to completely eliminate this decision fatigue that might creep in if we go, well, sometimes I tell myself I go to the gym at 5, but other times I just don't want to wake up. So I put it off, and I say I'll go after work, but then I never go after work. And then the next day comes and I do the same thing, and this habit forms and blah, 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 blah. Failure. And so all of these little bits and pieces, because I get asked all the time, how do I keep my exercise regime? How do I keep myself going to the gym? And it is all about you taking yourself seriously and having that one love, that one big thing that is that driving force for you to get there. If you are a parent, I believe you probably want to be alive to see your kid graduate high school, get married, have a kid, watch their kids have kids. You probably want to live as long as you possibly can so that you can share as many memories as possible with your child and their potential offspring, or celebrate their entrepreneurial life or their career or just them as a person. Maybe their dogs, their cats, whatever. So you find that for you, and you do not let that out of your sight. Oftentimes, many of us skip finding that one true love that's really that driving force, and we go to crisis. We go bankrupt, or we are flat ass broke, or we take a extreme measure, or we get to a really extreme low place, the rocks, and we're being thrashed on by giant waves, and it's hard to get out of that spot. But unless you choose to take responsibility for your life and get out of that place, or you wither away and choose an exit of this life, depends. And so that's a really extreme to go to, but that's it. We either choose something that's big enough to drive us forward, or we let life bring us to crisis where we have to flip out and have these issues come up in our health, our finances, our family, whatever it is, and we're stuck. So like the easier way is to just go inside to yourself, find what that is and move forward, or take the really hard route, meet crisis, and make that decision of pulling yourself out of the weeds or taking the exit. That's a little morbid, but that's the easiest way to explain it in a sense. So exercise, you see the physical changes in your physical body. You feel it in your body, the health of your heart, of your organs, of your core. It is the most powerful thing. And we'll just talk a little bit more about that in a little bit. But the next piece of this is dressing to impress. So before this podcast, I was wearing pajamas, a long sleeve shirt I might wear skiing or right after I wake up because it's chilly, and a hat. And that was relax mode. For this podcast, I put on a tank top that I feel good in and these flowy pants that make me feel like I'm ready to have fun, or I'm ready to explore, I'm ready to chat, that I feel confident in, that I don't feel restricted in, that I feel good in. And studies have shown that well-dressed people are more confident and respected by their colleagues. They're powerful and pay careful attention to the detail. It's clear that the way a person dresses can affect how successful they are. If you haven't put much effort into your wardrobe, reflect on the benefits of dressing well. That is a little quote from the University of Texas. And there are a lot of TED Talks on this. They're really fascinating. I recommend you just go look up TED Talk, dressing to impress, whatever the case. But it is a giant shift. This can also come into the spectrum of embodiment. And what are you embodying? What archetype do you want to embody? Maybe it helps you to dress up in all red because you need to have action and power and you want to feel fiery. Maybe it's a time to relax. It's past your workday, you change out of your work clothes into relaxed clothes, and that is a signal to your brain of, we're done, no more emails, I'm not taking any calls, I'm here hanging out with the fam. Maybe it's a date night, so you want to look good for yourself and for your partner, and so you dress up nicer than you usually do if you were just to pick up something on your way to the grocery store or whatever the case. You make it a special occasion, showing up for yourself in your job, in your life, in your career, and how you operate with other people when you go out to parties, when you go to the Christmas party. Like, it really shifts how you perceive yourself. A big confidence booster. The last thing I want to talk about is your posture. I am a giant component of saying posture is one of the most important things, because how we stand is signaling a physiological sensation to how we're operating, how we're being perceived, how we want to be perceived, what we are wanting to portray, or if we're trying to accomplish something or pitch an idea. This is from Harvard. So good posture is important to many things, including balance. By standing up straight, you center your weight over your feet. This also helps you maintain correct form while exercising, while results in fewer injuries and greater gains. Working on balance can even strengthen your abilities in tennis, golf, running, dancing, skiing, and just about any sport or activity. This also goes into going up and down stairs, walking in a straight line, looking over your shoulder. That takes balance. You look over your shoulder and notice, where does your weight go? If you're looking to the left, your weight's going to go in your right to counterbalance that rotational force that you're putting on your spine to stay upright. If you don't have a big toe, that's going to be even more challenging to keep your balance. And then a Harvard article also goes on to the core muscles of the back, side, pelvis, and buttocks form a sturdy central link between the upper and the lower body. Weak core muscles encourage slumping, which tips your body forward and thus off balance. Strong lower leg muscles also help keep you steady when standing. There's also studies that show that having a strong lower body helps you create more synapse in your brain so you can learn more and that you can actually become more educated over time. And this is where I want to guide you through Tadasana. So if it's able and you're safe to do so, please stand up. And while you're here, you can close your eyes. You can take a nice big inhale and exhale, but you're going to stand with your feet just hip width apart. You're going to put your weight in your big toe, your pinky toe, and the back two corners of your heel. You're going to lift up through the center of your foot while you press down through those 4 points. It's like a sucking motion with your inner foot. And you're going to feel that sensation. You're going to think about bringing that energy up from the ground up into your body. We're grounding through this yoga pose. As a yoga teacher, this is where it all comes from. And you're going to press your calf muscle into the front of the lower leg or your shin. You're going to lift your kneecaps up, which is going to engage your quadriceps. You're going to draw the midline of your hips inward. So think about your hands being on the 2 outside parts of your hips and just squeezing them inwards towards the middle of the pelvis region. You're going to tilt your tailbone down slightly towards the heels as you lift the belly button up through the crown of the head. Here your ribs might be, and I'll show you on the camera, your ribs might be sticking up, so you want to lower your ribs down. And then you're going to spread your collarbones apart as you relax the shoulders down and away from the ears. Next, you'll tilt the chin down just an inch or 2 and lift up through the back of the head. be in this position. This is Tadasana, or mountain pose. Mountains are unmovable unless there's an explosion by a bomb, which makes it easier to move them. And they stand tall, they stand here. And I just welcome you to stand in this position for a few moments, or if you're in the car, just doing the part from your sit bones up through the crown of your head, just having your shoulders back. This can relieve so much tension and stress, especially if you run on the computer and you got your shoulders up here and you're tapping away, your neck is craned down. Da, 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 da. We want to be up here. We want to raise the computer screen up. My partner brought me this cool movable desk. I'm purposely moving it up and down right now, but I can stand and get work done at a normal height instead of cranking my neck down. And that is the best way to work. I used to put my laptop on books. Both ways are efficient. So posture can just make you feel better. You stand with your feet wide apart, hands on your hips for 2 minutes, you're going to feel like a superhero. That is just what the studies say. Try it out. Experiment in your body. Do these things before you have a speaking opportunity, or you're pitching an idea, or you're going in to talk to your boss about a raise, whatever it is. And the last thing I want to share, also from the doctor who shared the New York Times article pieces on the definitions of self-efficiency, self-confidence, and self-esteem, this is my own words, but it is worrying less about coming off as a prick. In other words, arrogant. And this is Dr. Hoopert, but he says arrogance is more the result of insecurity than high self-confidence. Confidence is self-satisfied, while arrogance requires external validation to feel good. So you get people who brag to solicit the recognition of others. Someone with true self-confidence is capable of being assertive and standing up for themselves, but they're unlikely to adopt a tone that others perceive as arrogant. Oddly enough, the best defense against arrogance is developing true self-confidence. And last but not least, I will also say this philosophy quote from Aristotle. So, Aristotle indeed placed the brave man between two poles of fear and confidence. The man who exceeds in confidence is rash, and he who exceeds in fear and falls short in confidence is a coward. So a man who lies in the middle, who is humble, but who is confident in his abilities, and woman, they're going to move forward with that grace, with that ease, with that ability to take what's coming at them. They will not be shot down by that force that they're going into. They're going to move through the storm and make it to the other side, regardless of the reaction or what might be on the other side. Something that is totally out of our control and unpredictable, no matter how many false scenarios you can create in your head.
Thank you so
As someone
much
who is
for
queen of false
listening to
scenarios in
today's
their head,
episode. Please
none of
consider
them are
leaving
real,
a 5-star
none of them are
review,
true.
following
Only what is
along on
here
Apple,
and now is
Spotify,
real.
or wherever you listen
And
to
the only way
podcasts.
we get through
Check
those
out the video
difficult
version on
conversations,
YouTube and come hang out with me on Threads.
experiences, events,
We
is by
are
showing
making
up
an
and being
impact
there for it.
together every single day
Trusting
that we
that
stand
we
up
need whatever
and we
is
share,
on the other
we
side,
learn,
pleasant or
and we
not.
thrive.
So that is a lesson in confidence. I hope that you enjoyed this podcast. Please share with anyone that you think could use a boost in confidence, especially as we end this year and go into the next on the Gregorian calendar, and find out what it is that you have been dreaming of. Maybe an old idea from a couple years ago that is worth reinvesting in and navigating. Thank you so much, and I hope you have a great rest of your day. I'll catch you next Friday.